Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corman Productions. Happy New Year, by the way. We are now in a brand new spanking year with the year 2021. Goodbye, 2020. You won't be missed any. Though Corman Productions had a very good year, so I hope to keep up the momentum going into 2021. Today I'm here to talk about This Is Us, Season 1, Episode 8, Pilgrim Rick, the first Thanksgiving episode of the series, and I was exceptionally excited to be doing this one. In which Jack and Rebecca's Thanksgiving doesn't go quite as planned with the kids. Randal discovers a devastating secret. And Kate makes a big decision about her life. A couple of them, actually. Before diving in, I want to say, once again, this is not a spoiler-free video. And if you like my content, please subscribe to my channel so you can get notified when new videos are posted. In the past timeline, we're with the big three in the pre-teens. Rebecca is preparing some kind of cranberry dish for Thanksgiving to go to her parents' house. Randal come into the kitchen and are playing with what I think is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One of them mentions Shredder. Aw, I had one of those when I was a kid. Actually, quite a few of them. And by the way, it's great to see Kevin and Randal actually playing together like brothers. As we know, there is quite a bit of tension in that relationship that won't be resolved until their adult years. Or ever, really, as we know from the current season. Rebecca is less thrilled by the sight. She tells them to calm down, sit down, and when they get to their parents' house, there and be quiet. Because Rebecca's family is all in all not very pleasant. Going so as far as to basically cut Randal out of pictures by not including him in the first place. He's the adopted black child. Jack says that he had this dream that once his parents kicked off, that he would be able to develop his own traditions with his family. And Rebecca tells him that's because he's a very, very naive man. While carrying the cranberry dish, the kids, who are now playing again, run into Rebecca, knocking it out of her hands, and the contents are now on the floor. I'm left to wonder which Ninja Turtle was responsible. Or was it Shredder? We cut to present day, where Kate is at a group, and we have a little montage of talking heads, people discussing what are their triggers as far as Thanksgiving is concerned. And we have the debut of Madison. We see her very briefly, and that's all she wrote for her for this episode. I'm not even sure when we see her again, but if you're curious about when she debuted as a character, this is the one. Noticeably absent from the meeting is Toby, who made the decision that he's pretty much done with dieting. During the course of the meeting, one of the women mentions gastric bypass surgery, and you can practically see the little light bulb go off over Kate's head. Cut to Toby once again eating at a restaurant. You can see the writing on the wall almost from the beginning. Toby is wolfing down spaghetti, which is one of my favorite meals, by the way, and Kate is picking at a salad. Toby brings up Kate's Thanksgiving in New York at Randal's place. He expresses some nervousness about meeting Kate's mother. And Toby's all like, what am I worried about? Parents love me. But then Kate decides, or rather tells Toby, that she doesn't think he should come. And Toby laughs at this. But Kate is serious. Kate thinks that they should take a break. which pretty much means that they're going to break up. This isn't a very surprising development, but nevertheless the scene is well acted and heartbreaking. And of course this means that this will be the last that we ever see of Toby. Hardy har har. We cut to Kevin, who is rehearsing at the play, or really at the tail end of the rehearsal. It wraps up, and Kevin ends up asking Olivia what her plans are for Thanksgiving. And she says that she refuses to go see her family and eat dry turkey while pretending that they would have anything to do with each other if they were not blood related. So she's gonna go to some bar and watch Rocky 2, because they are always playing Rocky 2. Kevin suggests that she can come to Thanksgiving with his family. And she is highly skeptical and basically like, look, I'm not gonna go to a Thanksgiving with you and spend time with whatever Wonder Bread family you have that produced you. And Kevin is basically like, we're not Wonder Bread at all. We're more like multigrain bread. Well, Kevin, I have very little interest in multigrain bread, and this is me talking, not Olivia. So, you basically lost me with this speech. And then he suggests, no, it's more like ciabatta bread. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds mildly intriguing. So maybe this has a chance after all. And Olivia ends up agreeing to go. Credits. When we return from the credits, it's 6:30 a.m. Randal is waking up to an alarm, and he's all excited because it's Turkey Day. He wakes up his wife, he wakes up the entire house, the girls and William, and he even ends up jumping on Kevin. Which made me laugh. But Randal, listen. If you ever wake me up like that, I am going to kill you. Randal is pretty hilarious through most of the early part of this episode, and actually most of the episode in general, right up until the end. It's pretty crushing to see him so excited, knowing exactly where this episode is gonna go. Nobody else is quite as enthused as he is. We see a little montage of Randal making food when Kevin enters the scene, and Randal says, finally some help. Though Kevin seems to be ready to leave. And Randal says, whoa, is that your potato mashing jacket? Kevin laughs. Kevin apologizes and says he can't help, but he has to go pick up Olivia. Randal is clearly disappointed. Kevin asks when Mom and Miguel are getting in, and he does so. He asks about Miguel with very clear and exaggerated disdain. Randal reminds him that he's their stepdad, not ISIS. Good one, Randal. This is the episode that introduces the idea that Kevin does not like Miguel. Kevin, who had been earning some goodwill for the last couple of episodes, squanders some of it, quite a bit of it actually, with his treatment of Miguel throughout the episode, though he does somewhat redeem himself at the end. Kevin, and indeed the fans hating on Miguel, becomes sillier and sillier as we get more and more information. Randal reminds Kevin that he's responsible for picking up the hot dogs, but Kevin ends up interrupting him because he's also supposed to pick up the saltines, and Kevin is well aware of the Thanksgiving traditions. Kevin starts to leave, and then Randal, talking in this really weird accent, tells him, I'm excited to meet your girlfriend. Kevin turns around, smiling, and says, she's not my girlfriend. And Kevin says, and you're gonna be cool. Randal, look at me. Eye contact. You're gonna be cool, right? And Randal responds, baby, I'm as cool as the other side of the pillow. You feel me? And then gives him a little wink, which is basically when Kevin turns it around and says, you know what, you're just not allowed to talk to her. And Randal fires back with, "Because she'll want me?" while doing the robot. I'm totally sure that that's Kevin's concern. Randal is in rare form in this episode for sure. Beth and the kids come in, and Randal issues some orders. The kids take off. Randal asks Beth to plug in the VCR to get the movie going. And my first reaction was, people still watch things on VCRs? I mean, I would. I still have some VHS tapes in storage at the moment. But even in 2016, when this episode aired, VCRs were kind of outdated. Not kind of, they were very much outdated. To the point where I'd be surprised if people even remembered what they were, for the most part. Kind of like people don't remember what a record player was. But this is all part of the Pearson family tradition. William enters the scene, basically saying, "A VCR? Even I'm too young to be using a VCR." Echoing my thoughts. And, just how long was William standing on top of the stairs before coming down them to hear that comment? Because he was nowhere in sight to hear that conversation. So maybe you get the idea that he was listening in, perhaps. Oh, William. That could have something to do with the revelation that Beth just learned, and he's listening in to see if there's any trouble brewing. So far, there's not. I'll admit that in my youth, I used this very tactic, listening in on my parents' conversations to see if I was in trouble for anything. And when I wasn't, I knew it was safe to walk down the stairs. Randal enlists William's help in getting the yams, or cutting the yams rather, until William starts coughing. Randal asks him if he's okay, and William replies, "Oh, I'm fine, just dying." And Randal thinks better about it, and has William sit down, saying he will take care of everything. Randal says he's pumped. His mom and his biological father eating at the same table. It's continuously painful just how happy Randal is here, because it's not going to last. It's going to end in brutal fashion. Beth seems to be on the same wavelength I am, and she's not doing a very good job covering that fact up. Rebecca and Miguel show up to the house. And remarkably, this is only the second time in the series that we've seen the older pair in an episode. When Miguel disappears from the scene, Beth confronts Rebecca and says, "I know you've been ducking my calls." And Rebecca, very unconvincingly I might add, "No, that's silly, of course not." Rebecca says quite plainly, "I don't know how it works in your marriage, but in mine, we don't keep secrets. And for the past 3 days, I've had to hold on to a whopper. You and William have known each other for Randal's entire life, and you never told him about it?" And Rebecca says, "I know, and I will tell him at some point." And Beth says, "I need you to do it tonight." I will say that I'm mostly on Beth's side here. But is it really necessary to do it on Thanksgiving, with Randal being as happy as he is? Maybe sometime after Thanksgiving would be best. But that line of thinking is actually a slippery slope. You think maybe after Thanksgiving? Well, maybe after Christmas. How about after the New Year? And on it goes. When does it stop? So basically I circle back to agreeing with Beth, as much as that sucks. It's an argument that's basically rendered moot by the episode, as we shall unfortunately see. We cut to the past timeline, where the Pearsons are on their way to Rebecca's family's house. Rebecca is making her cranberry dish in the car. Apparently they bought the ingredients at the store, and it's now like 4 o'clock, which Rebecca is not happy with. And suddenly, a tire explodes, causing a rather scary accident as they go through a fence. Everyone is fine, but that's certainly not an accident I would want to be involved in, especially not with my kids in the car. Cut to the present timeline. People are enjoying themselves with the family. Rebecca and Randal are in the kitchen, talking about her new assistant. And Rebecca says that they should find some time to talk, which is when they are interrupted by Kevin and Olivia joining the party. And I gotta say, with as comfortable as Olivia was being at a funeral for a person she didn't know, and acting her way out of that, she is extremely awkward here, and showing no sign of actually trying to hide that fact. In fact, she's doing the opposite, almost. Speaking of actors who should be able to hide their disdain for certain someones a little better than they do, because as they are paid to do acting, we have a Miguel and Kevin moment, which makes me want to smack him for the first time in a little bit. Miguel asks about the play. Is he having fun? And Kevin's all like, no, it's emotional, grueling work. What are you talking about, Miguel? And Rebecca gives him a mild rebuke. Now, I had some criticisms of Rebecca, Kevin. Firstly, okay, you don't like Miguel, Kevin. Fine. Out of respect for your mother, you fake it. You do a better job than you did here, for sure. And honestly, as the series goes along and we get more information, there's no reason to hate Miguel. It'd be one thing if they got together right after Jack's death, or if Miguel actively stole Rebecca from Jack, but that didn't happen. We have never gotten the episode where Miguel and Rebecca have gotten together. The creators have promised us this, but we have never gotten it. But what we do know is that they reconnected sometime after Randal had his first kid. And that definitely wasn't right after Jack died. So is Kevin's problem her dating or being married to someone who isn't Jack? Well, that doesn't make any sense, because he was trying in his teens to hook her up with his acting teacher. So that's not really the problem. So what gives here, Kevin? And I don't really care about the answer. I really don't. I don't care why he doesn't like Miguel. Like I said, out of respect for your mother, you fake it. It'd be one thing if Miguel beat her. He doesn't. He is a decent man to the core, and he does nothing but take care of her. So in case you didn't notice, it irritates the crap out of me how Kevin treats Miguel in this episode. He minuses a lot of goodwill that he got from the past couple of episodes with this performance here. I will give him credit. He does redeem himself at the end of the episode, or towards the end. Which brings us to Rebecca. She did just give him a little bit of rebuke for how he was just acting then. And to be fair, she isn't present for the later scene that we will get into. She doesn't see that at all. But what annoys me is that Rebecca does not put the kibosh on this more. That she doesn't like, hey Kevin, knock it off. This is my husband, deal with it. Do a better job of being civil. You know what, you don't have to like him, but you do need to respect him, and respect the fact that we are together. We see Miguel do something like that at some point in the future. I don't remember the episode, but it was at a family gathering with his kids, and Miguel back-checked them. I would like to see Rebecca do more of that. herself. I didn't remember Rebecca doing that little Kevin. So maybe there's more effort on Rebecca's part than I remember, and that I will notice on rewatch. For right now, though, my criticism stands. Randal announces that it's time to get their shoes on because they're about to do the hike, which is apparently a family tradition, and we will see why as the episode progresses. Olivia asks, "We don't do the hike, right?" Kevin's like, "Oh, no, we do. Don't worry, you're going to love it. Actually, you're probably going to hate it. You're not going to compare the walk to ciabatta bread or multigrain?" Because that really sold her the last time. And me too. By the way, Randal also says, before Kevin does, that she will love it, and then has this little maniacal laugh after the fact. Honestly, I could play that moment over and over again. Just a little clip of him saying, "You're gonna love it," and then that laugh after the fact. He truthfully sounds a little sadistic in that moment. On the walk, Rebecca asks Kevin the question, "Oh, what's the name of that play you're doing again?" And Kevin laughs. "What, are you serious? I've told you like 100 times. Back in the Head. Back of the Head." Or actually, I don't even... Back of the Head is the name of the play. You know what? I don't even think I do that. But silly Kevin thinking that anybody is going to actually remember something that he does. Especially his mother. Did you forget, Kevin, that you're actually the forgotten child? That nobody actually cares about, least of all your mother? Well, here's a reminder for you. And Olivia continues to be a joy along for this walk. Talking about her dysfunctional family and the pies that her mother made, as if that could fix anything. And as it turns out, they never ended up even eating any of those pies. Interesting to know, Olivia's upbringing seems a little bit like Jack's. Lagging behind is William and Randal. Randal tells him to relax and to take a seat for a moment. Randal tells him, "You know, I can go get the car if I need to." And William says, No, just give me a minute. Randal asks him how he used to spend Thanksgiving. And he said that he would spend them with his sober family, or sober friends, rather. Most of them were estranged from their family, or didn't have any family. They were a bunch of musicians, and they would play, have mini concerts of sorts, and someone would record them. But last year he was too sick to attend. So he started a new tradition. He played the tapes. And he wished that he had remembered to bring them so that he could do that now. And you can practically see the little light bulb going off in Randal's head. It's rather sad that a romantic gesture from Randal is what leads to him discovering the truth. William asks how long the hike is, and Randal says, exactly 3.4 miles. In the past timeline, Jack is examining the wheel on the car, which is clearly busted. Rebecca points out that it's going to get dark soon. And the kids ask, what do we do now? And Jack says, we walk. There's a sign that says gas, 3.4 miles. In the past timeline, Jack and co. are walking on the street in the dark to pass the time and to get their minds off of animals that might want to eat them. Rebecca says that they should play a game. And Jack asks, alright guys, how do you see your Thanksgiving in the future? Kevin says that he will be playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rebecca asks Randal, and Randal says that he's not going to celebrate Thanksgiving. A very stark contrast to his current attitude. Rebecca asks him, why not? And Randal says, when you're a grown-up, you don't have to do stuff you hate. Ha 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 ha! Oh, that's a good one, Randal. Kevin says he didn't realize that was an option. So he too will not be celebrating Thanksgiving. And Kate says that she too will not be celebrating Thanksgiving. They all hate Thanksgiving. And Rebecca laughs, come on guys, Grandma and Grandpa aren't that bad. Cut to the children who are looking at her like, are you kidding me? Rebecca asks, what? And Kevin, after a bit of a pause, says, it's not just them. And then Randal follows that up with, it's you. Randal goes on to say, you're always mean when we're at their house. And you have this weird high voice. And then Jack finally interrupts and basically cuts them off and says, okay, that's enough. And Jack says, don't listen to them. They're clearly hallucinating because of the cold. Rebecca doesn't look convinced. Back in the present day timeline, everybody returns to the house. And Beth says that the movie will start in 10 minutes. The movie being Police Academy 3. Randal tells Beth that he's going to take a little ride, a 2-hour ride, back to William's home to get the tapes. And when Beth objects, Randal simply says, this could be William's last Thanksgiving. And then Beth says, which is why you should get on the road. But she's clearly concerned, and I think quite a bit paranoid that what she knows is going to blow up in her face. And unfortunately, she's right. When he announces that he's leaving to the family, Rebecca suggests that she tag along to keep him company. And perhaps, maybe, to finally tell him the truth. Maybe that's part of her motivation, I don't really know. I'm just speculating. But Randal turns her down and says, nah, stay, watch the movie. I'll be back in a jiff. Before he leaves, Randal tells the family that Kate got a new flight and that she would be coming alone without Toby. He isn't sure why, but it sounds like drama. And I hope you get a good look at this, because this is the last time that you're going to see Randal happy for this episode. Kevin finds Olivia after sharing a brief nod with William, and he says to her, I know you have a spotty history with Thanksgiving, but no matter what happens, you're going to make it to the pie. You know what? I'm not even sure that's true. William observes the scene with a smile, and then Miguel interrupts the scene to ask if this year he can wear the Pilgrim Rick hat, which is part of the Pearson family tradition. It's crazy, honestly. It's completely crazy that in the same scene, in the span of 5 seconds, he's terrific with Olivia and then absolutely horrible to Miguel. All Miguel wants is to be a part of the family, to be accepted as part of the family, and to participate in the family traditions. And Kevin is like, nah, me and Randal take turns doing the hat. And this year it's my turn, so not gonna happen. And in that moment, Kevin is reminding me of his younger and brattier self. And it's another moment in which I want to slap him hard. Miguel accepts this gracefully and departs the scene. Olivia at this point is just like, you know what? I'm sorry. I can't be what you want to be. You want me to be. I'm gonna go. Please don't follow me. And you kind of deserved that just for how you treated Miguel just now. She should be saying, wow, you are a jackass. I am getting out of here. But that's not the real reason she's leaving. In the past timeline, they arrive at wherever it is they were going. The guy tells them that they can't get a tow truck out there at this moment because it's Thanksgiving. Rebecca suggests getting the kids some snacks while she calls her parents. It doesn't take long for the conversation with her mother to turn into an argument. Jack comes out just in time to hear Rebecca say, "I am not subjecting my kids to that. We aren't coming. We aren't coming anymore." And she hangs up the phone. Jack seems pretty impressed. He's like, "Okay, well, what's the new plan?" "Look at that, Jack. You get a chance to make your own Thanksgiving plans after all." Rebecca looks around and sees a sign for the Pinewood Lodge. And she says, "Well, I guess we're having Thanksgiving at the Pinewood Lodge." Jack, always the cheerleader, especially in this timeline, a little bit less when he gets older, says that he loves it. In the present day timeline, William is sitting on the stoop, just in time to see Olivia exit. He says he just came out for some air. Olivia nonchalantly says, "I'm waiting for my Uber." And William looks at her and is basically like, "I don't know what that is." Olivia sits down on the stoop with him, and she asks him the totally sensitive question, "How does it feel to be dying?" And William says, "It feels like all of these beautiful pieces of life are flying around me, and I'm trying to catch them. When my granddaughter falls asleep on my lap, I try to catch the feeling of her breathing against me. And when I make my son laugh, I try to catch the sound of him laughing, how it rolls up from his chest. But the pieces are moving faster now, and I can't catch them all. I can feel them slipping through my fingertips. And soon, where there used to be my granddaughter breathing and my son laughing, there will be nothing." And all Olivia can muster up after hearing William's poetic speech is a very quiet, "Whoa." William says to her, "I know it feels like you have all the time in the world, but you don't. So stop playing it so cool. Catch the moments of your life. Catch them while you're young, because sooner than you know it, you'll be old and slow, and there'll be no more of them to catch. And when a nice boy who adores you offers you pie, say thank you." This speech has the desired effect, rather. She finds Kevin looking through the fridge for a beer, and she kisses him. For real this time, not like back in the game plan. Actually, it wasn't that episode. It was the episode after that, where they were at the funeral, or the memorial service, and she kissed him, made love to him, just to teach him a lesson. Or at least that was the explanation she gave at the time. I'm not as convinced now. This time, it's for real. It's passionate. She's catching the moments while she's young. Has there ever been a person who met William who wasn't changed after that encounter? It doesn't seem like it. After the kiss ends, she says, "Thank you for the pie." That's a heck of a thank you. she takes her coat to stay a while and leaves Kevin to look confused and stunned. In the past timeline, as they enter the lodge, they encounter Pilgrim Rick, who is doing a little bit. And this is the origin of the Pilgrim Rick tradition that Miguel was rejected for by Kevin to get to wear this year, because Kevin is a jackass. I may or may not get off that by the end of the episode. We'll see how I feel. In the room, Jack asks the kids who wants a hot dog, which is the origin of eating hot dogs that Kevin was asked to get at the beginning of the episode, along with the saltines. Nobody is really impressed with how Thanksgiving is going. The kids all look miserable, and Jack says he's gonna go talk to Pilgrim Rick. In the present day timeline, Randal is at William's house, looking for the tapes. He sees his trumpet and smiles. He opens the drawer, and jackpot, he found the tapes. But he also notices a letter with his mother's handwriting on it. He grabs the letter and opens it and starts to read. On Kate's flight, she's sleeping when suddenly the plane starts rocking and everybody screams in terror. It seems like they might die, but they don't. After a brief back and forth with the woman she's sitting with, it seems Kate has come to a decision. In the past timeline, Jack scares the crap out of his family by imitating Pilgrim Rick, who they think is actually the person who runs the hotel, but he bursts through the door, and lo and behold, it's Jack, wearing the Pilgrim Rick hat. When they realize it's Jack, they all start laughing. He continues his exaggerated imitation of Pilgrim Rick and suggests that tonight, at the lodging, they will have a picnic and a movie. The movie, of course, turns out to be Police Academy 3. It seems that Jack has figured out a way to salvage their Thanksgiving. In the present-day timeline, Kevin enters the house with the Pilgrim Rick hat and starts to do the Pilgrim Rick routine when he notices Miguel. And something clicks in his mind. He starts to say, "You know what? I'm not actually Pilgrim Rick. I'm just acting. The real Pilgrim Rick is back there." And he points to Miguel. Miguel looks surprised and happy. It's a nice gesture, Kevin. It's a redemptive moment for you. You're still a jackass. I got nothing but love for you, but you are a jackass. Randal returns home, and Beth runs to him. He does not look happy. He in fact looks destroyed. And Beth picks up on it. She knows something's wrong. She probably knows that he knows what she knows, but she doesn't know how. Actually, a bit of a correction. I watched the scene again, and Beth seems to completely miss the fact that he is not okay at all. We cut to dinner and see a little montage of people getting their food, the food being put on the table. Randal looking completely miserable, standing in the corner. Rebecca suggests that they start with the yarn, and we don't quite know what that is yet. In the past timeline, The kids are watching Police Academy 3. Kevin declares the movie the best ever. Kate is complaining about her sweater being itchy. Rebecca says that she could take it off. When she does so, she notices a loose thread of yarn on her sweater, and Rebecca suggests that they have one more tradition to create. And she says that they will all go around and say what they're thankful for. And when it's your turn, you will pull on the yarn of the sweater and then throw it. She throws it to Jack first, and Jack says that he's thankful for his family, that they're safe, and that there is no one in the world that he would rather be too cold or too hot with. Jack throws the ball, but we cut to the present day timeline to see an older Rebecca catch it. That's a nice little touch there, I thought. And she repeats what Jack said all those years ago. Tess points out that Grandma always says the same thing. I dare you to not get a little bit misty-eyed in that moment. Randal smiles a little bit, but he's also clearly not happy. And he says, yeah, she does, doesn't she? Rebecca definitely picks up on the vibe. She throws the ball to Randal. He tosses the ball back and forth. They clearly know something is up. You can see an out-of-focus Kevin looking concerned. And then we cut to Beth, who looks terrified. She asks, is everything alright, baby? She knows it's not. At this point, she is definitely knows for a fact that it's not okay. She chooses that moment to dismiss the kids because she knows that something bad is about to happen and she doesn't want the kids to witness it. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the finale when she knew that Kevin and Randal were about to throw down, have a fight. Randal pulls out a letter. He says he recognized his mom's handwriting. He asks, why is there a photo of me in a letter that you sent to William? Rebecca says nothing. She has tears developing in her eyes, though. She looks at William. And then she starts to speak, but Randal cuts her off. He explains the story. He reads the letter. Dear William, I'm sorry I had to leave so quickly, but it's wonderful to see you looking good after all these years. He repeats after the last line, after all these years. Rebecca tries to say something again. She tries to say, Randal, you have to understand. And then Randal once again cuts her off. Understand what? That you knew about my father all these years and you never said anything about it? That you kept him from me my entire life? Randal is getting more and more emotional by the moment. Rebecca tries to explain again, but Randal starts yelling, stop! Just stop. He's completely freaking out at this point. He's having a meltdown. He says through tears and with his hands covering his eyes, he can't even look at her. And Rebecca is now full on crying. He says, after all these years, how many times I asked about my family, and if I hadn't found him on my own, He doesn't finish the sentence. But the implication is, if he hadn't found him on his own, William would have died, and Randal never would have known his father. Randal says that he needs to go. He gets up. Beth tries to stop him, but he says, barely, that he just needs to get some air. He sees Kate going out the door, and she's captain oblivious. Like, I can't believe she didn't notice, looking directly at him, how upset he was. But she comes in and announces that she is going to get a gastric bypass surgery. But she doesn't have a very receptive audience, because they all just witness Randal having a complete meltdown. They all look upset. They're all crying. Except for Olivia, who's basically like, wow, your family's amazing. We cut to the past timeline. Randal is laying with his mother. He says to her that he's changed his mind, that he will celebrate Thanksgiving when he gets older. And he says he knows exactly how he wants it to be. He wants it to be like tonight, for the rest of his life. Rebecca kisses him, and they both go to sleep. Well, damn. That was painful, but in a very, very good way. This was an excellent episode. The Thanksgiving and holiday episodes are generally very, very good. They're the best of the series. It seems like we're not going to get a Thanksgiving episode this year, which is a shame. And that is all I have for this episode. Now, the new episodes are coming back tomorrow, in fact. So I will be back to covering those. The next episode is of Season 1 is definitely one I want to talk about, so I'm going to try to squeeze that in early. And as far as the rest of the rewatch videos, whether I do them while the series is running its 5th season, or if I wait till the break, I'm going to play that by ear for now. But I've definitely made a decision that I want to keep covering the series. I've already determined that I was going to do the entire 5th season, but I think I want to cover this entire series, at least as much of it as I possibly can. If you like this video and want to support the channel, you could like and share this video. You can follow me on Twitter at coreproductions.com. You can join my Corman Productions page on Facebook. And you can buy something from my Zazzle store at Corman Productions. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel. This is Dave from Corman Productions, signing off.